Kalki 2898 AD. This is I think this is a South Indian language movie that was dubbed into Hindi, that was then subtitled in English, and that's how I saw it off of Netflix. I'd wanted to see this one when it came out. I just the stars didn't align, as they would say in this movie. The stars didn't align for me to see it, so I'm seeing it now, reviewing it. Saw the trailers, looked really excited for it. It was actually amazing. So I'm going to review it using my space system: story, pacing, artistry, characters, enjoyment. And each category gets a score between 0 and 2. 2 is the best you can get in any category. I haven't done an Indian film review in a long time. A lot of those reviews that I did were actually lost because when my channel got monetized, a lot of those were getting striked because of music that I had in it. So a lot of those are missing from my channel. But I do watch a lot of Bollywood films, so Amir Khan, Shah Rukh Khan, those kind of guys. So obviously I knew Amitabh Bachchan in this movie, and I know Deepika from other films, especially with all the SRK movies. So I know some of the actors in it, so I was like looking forward to seeing them. I'm not too familiar with some of the other actors, probably mostly everybody else except for those two. So I was looking forward to it, but I wasn't sure. Now, this movie combines a lot of religion plus just fantasy and sci-fi elements. There's a little bit of Mad Max feel to it. There's big kind of a Star Wars feel. And I don't want to use the word Star Wars to say I'm comparing this to Star Wars. I'm reviewing this on its own merits. So I'm using my space system to tell you how good it is based on what you think is going to happen when you watch this movie. I'm not really comparing, I'm not comparing them exactly, but a little bit because they're in the same kind of genre. This was sort of a movie that took all of those elements, put them together in one really cool movie. And that's what Star Wars kind of did. It took a lot of Kurosawa stuff, right, like Hidden Fortress. It took a lot of the samurai things, right, from Japanese culture, meshed it with, Western films and Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers, and that kind of, it just perfectly blended. This is also a very good blend of all of those things I mentioned, religion and fantasy and all of that. Mad Max is in there. A little bit of even like manga style things and like the different class systems, which you've always had in India anyways, but this is the extreme example. Now, most of the stuff comes, or at least the backbone of this movie is from the Mahabharata, and I'm going to assume that people watching this video haven't read the whole thing, because I haven't read the whole thing, though we did have massive hardcover versions of it. There was no chance of us ever watching it, so if you want something, I would suggest this DVD. This is the Peter Brooks version. I don't even know if it's the full version. It's quite long. It's actually done very well. It's almost like not a stage production, but it's more of a play-ish kind of a thing. But the DVD is out there. You can definitely find it. I'm sure it's available somewhere to watch or stream, or just buy the DVD. There was a TV series that ran in India for a few seasons, and that covered a lot of it, or maybe the whole thing. I don't know. I haven't watched or read about this in a long time. It's been probably 10 years since I've watched this. So watching this movie, I remembered some of the characters that were from the Mahabharata, but I don't remember them all, but I remember Arjuna and those kind of guys. So the big thing is that battle took place that you know about. And then based on that, Krishna says that I can again rise. However, I can only come back one more time. And I'm going to come back when it's the absolute worst time period. So that's your backbone story. In the meantime, someone has to be there to protect me while I'm in the womb of the woman who's going to give birth to me. That character is played by Amitabh Bachchan, and that his name is Ashwata. I wrote their names down. Sorry, let me grab my notes here. Ashwatthama. So he is the guy who has to protect her. Now, he did a wrong by killing an unborn child during that battle. So his punishment is to live forever as a curse, and he can only die once he protects the woman who's going to give birth to Krishna. Okay, so that's your story. I'm giving the storyline a 2 out of 2. It's awesome. It combines all the elements I just said. I don't want to talk anymore about the story. That it combines it all beautifully. The villains are absolutely despicable pieces of garbage. One thing that Indian movies, both South Indian and like Bollywood stuff, they do great is getting your villains, because most of them are despicable pieces of garbage that you want to see taken down, and you definitely want to see them taken down in this movie. It's like the Empire, it's the rebels, it's the Empire. This isn't anything new. So I'm not giving the storyline a perfect score of 2 out of 2 to say that it's absolutely flawless. What I'm saying is that this is, you knew this going into the movie. You knew it was going to be the Empire and the rebels, right? We knew it was a Star Wars kind of a thing, but Star Wars isn't original either. So we're not basing it on originality. We're basing it on how well they did it. And I think they did it a really good job in this movie. There is some comedy bits. Now, if you're not used to Indian films, you might think that these comedy bits are cheesy, and they are cheesy. There's at least a couple of parts where you're like, oh dear, why is this in the movie? It's in the movie because that's how it goes. I've seen so many Indian films. I'm used to this kind of thing. It just completely brushes right off me. It doesn't bother me at all. You just look and you kind of say, oh, that was cheesy, yeah, but that's just how it goes. So some people might get turned off, but this movie is 3 hours. And we're going to go right into the pacing. I'm going to give the pacing I'm going to probably give it a 1.5 for the pacing. So just under 2. It is 2 hours and 55 minutes. There is no songs. There is song, there's musical numbers, but there's no singing. This isn't really Bollywood, right? So I know you guys would think, oh, Bollywood is going to have singing. Not really. This is more like, I think, a South Indian production, which of course they'll have singing it too, but not in this one. This is more just like I don't want to say a regular movie, but more, a regular movie. It's not a musical. But there's still musical numbers in it where the characters are just doing stuff, and it's a little bit of a montage with music. So, some of those could have been cut shorter. Some of the scenes did go on a little long. So the pacing was 2 hours and 55 minutes. I actually wasn't bored. However, I do feel that it probably could have been shorter. I don't think it needed to be that long, because I think we understood what was going to happen in the story quicker. So I'm going to ding it on that one. The artistry, this is absolutely awesome. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 2. There's a part where they're showing the battle that you would read about in the Mahabharata, which is like this big super battle. Arjun's there with his like bow. I always just say Arjuna. I don't know I guess there's different ways to pronounce the names, like Karna, and this they say Karn. I would say Karna, but Arjuna, Arjun, whatever. Anywho, it's they use some CGI to make I can't remember his name, Ashwatthama. They make him look younger. They do the CGI making de-aging on Amitabh Bachchan. It's a bit weird, because you're like, yeah, that's him, but it looks weird. Anyways, look, there's so many awesome sequences in this movie with like epic soundtrack in the background, and the effects are wicked. The design work of the ships, the armor, this is a beautiful craftsmanship of this world that they have built of this thing. I mean, the vehicles are wicked. Like if I'm a kid in India, I want the toys of all of this stuff. Like, with some tweaking and proper marketing, and if the next 2 movies, I'm sure this is a trilogy, I think, if they can really figure this out, this could be your sort of your Indian Star Wars, right? Just for the epicness and the creativity of all of the different vehicles and the weapons and all that. Now, yes, the weapons, the handheld weapons, are from Mahabharata, but I mean, whatever. It doesn't explain what the bow looks like, right? So it's them designing a cool bow, and you've got the energy, so it's like he shoots like energy, and it can shoot everywhere, right? All that stuff is super pumped up. It's awesome. The artistry is amazing. Music's pretty good. Again, would it be perfect? No, I could give it I don't do 0.9 or whatever. So I could give it like 1.9 out of 2, but I'm just going to give it a 2 because I loved it. I'm actually going to give the characters, we're going to go talk about the characters. I'm going to give that a 2 out of 2 as well. The main villain, the Supreme Yaskin is the character's name. We don't really see him. We're going to see more of him in the second installment. You do see a little bit of him, and he's very creepy looking. He's awesome. The villains are all great. They're complete pieces of garbage. Yaskin is a combination of many things. He's a little bit of the Emperor from like Palpatine from Star Wars. He's a little bit of Baron Harkonnen. He even has spheres. He's got those phantasm spheres from the Phantasm movies. So a little bit of that mixed in. He's awesome. Our main, so Deepika is playing some 80, so it's like she's like a stamped person. So she's just like, they take all the women, and then they separate the fertile women to try to figure out which one of them is going to give birth to Krishna. So basically the villain knows, he's reading the signs of the earth that, you know, Krishna's coming back, and he's trying to figure out which woman is going to give birth to him so he can extract his energy and then pump it into himself. That's part of the story, which is wicked. So of course she's going to be the mother. As soon as you saw her, you're like, well, she's going to be the mother, right? Like, I mean, come on. So she's going to be the mother that's going to give birth. She's good. I like her in this movie. I think she's good. She's not using her looks really as much in this one. It's more just like she is a character in this movie. She's a bit naive to the world. I liked her a lot. Of course, Amitabh Bachchan is the friggin' best, man. As soon as he shows up, man, and he's like the old man, because he's been immortal. He's just been living and living and living, so he's all old. But he's like a super-powered guy. He's basically Superman, right? He's beating the crap out of guys. He's awesome. I mean, he's awesome. We don't talk about him. So we've got our new guy, who's the character's name is Bhairava, and he is the reincarnation of Karn. I think it was Karn, or unless it's his son. Some of these things I really need to go back and watch and take better. My notes are trash on this. I got caught up in the movie and I stopped taking notes, which is not a good thing if you're going to do a review. But in any case, I was so into the movie I kind of just forgot. So he's you. And again, is this a spoiler? The movie's been out for a while, and you kind of know who it is, right? Like it was very obvious to me. They have this whole thing with this certain, it's a staff, but it's actually a bow. And you're like, well, when the guy grabs it, you know it's going to be him, right? So all of that stuff is there, and you're waiting for it to happen. But he's a bounty hunter, and he's a bit of a rogue. Like he's not a villain, but I don't want to say he's like Han Solo. I hate to use Star Wars to compare it because it's not really the same. But he's like a Han Solo-ish kind of guy. He's kind of a rogue. He's in it for himself. But you know he's going to be a good guy, right? Because you know how these movies work. This isn't the first movie you've seen, right? So he's awesome. Yeah, I liked all the characters. They did have another female, Roxy, who came in for a little bit. She's only in it for a minute or for like a couple of scenes, and I thought they would do more with her. Maybe she'll do more in part 2. Those are your kind of your bigger characters, and there's other side characters that are cool. Everyone looks awesome. The costumes are wicked. The armor, the weapons, everything looks great. So they're all cool. That's, I mean, enjoyment factor. I'm going to give it a 2, man. I love this movie. I thought it was awesome. Officially on the record, I'm giving it a 9.5 out of 10. I'm taking a little bit off for the pacing, but because I actually wasn't bored, and I feel that we need to reward people for really doing something new and trying their best and making something awesome. I mean, I would just say 10 out of 10, but I am going to say 9.5 out of 10 because of that pacing, even though I wasn't bored. If you're not used to Indian movies, whether it's Bollywood or South Indian movies or whatever, if you're not used to them and you watch this one, you might be slightly confused on some of the parts. And if you don't know anything about this, you're going to be really confused. Thank God I at least knew something. My wife remembered a lot of it too. Now she's known about it from before. I don't think she's ever read it though, but she had seen, I think she had seen the show growing up in India, and she had seen the Peter Brooks version a few times before I got into it. So she was able to kind of we pieced together what was going on in the beginning there. First of all, this director needs to make the Mahabharata movie or trilogy, or they got to do it like Hobbit or Lord of the Rings. It's got to be like 6 movies that are like 3 hours each or whatever, right? Yeah, so I loved this movie. I thought it was awesome. I think they've put Disney Star Wars to shame on this one. I think I posted an Instagram thing saying, "Hey, look, I just saw Star Wars Kalki. It was so good." I love trolling Star Wars because it's so crap right now. And I just love that this movie comes from India and it just blows the crap away out of all these trash Star Wars shows. Should all be ashamed of themselves with their massive budgets. It's like they're awful. It's like this movie, I could easily watch this again. Not right now, but maybe in a couple of months, I wouldn't mind revisiting this movie. I'll probably rewatch it when part 2 comes out. Yeah, I loved it. Let me know in the comments what you thought. If you like this review, please hit the like button, consider subscribing to the channel, and let me know, should I get back into more Indian movies? I don't know, I've strayed so far away. I'm more into the comics and stuff now, and I'm not sure if my audience wants this kind of thing. I figured this review would make sense because it does have that fantasy element to it. It's not just like an action movie, but let me know in the comments. All right, thanks so much for watching. Until next time.